Okay, so you sent us this Harvard and BCG study,
Uh-huh.
and it's about AI, how it affects the way we work, all that stuff.
Yeah. And this wasn't just some small experiment. They got like 758 consultants involved to actually try it out.
Whoa, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's like a massive experiment, like real world stuff, not just some theoretical,
Not just theory.
yeah, like will AI actually work in the real world?
I guess they found out, huh?
For sure, for certain tasks, it was a total game changer.
Right.
Like GPT-4 actually helped these, already really smart
I
consultants.
think they're consultants.
Yeah, to produce work that was 40% better.
40.
40% better.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And they were getting stuff done faster, too, right?
Oh, yeah, 25% faster.
Imagine, like, having an AI assistant that could help you write better, like, I don't know, reports or
Anything.
marketing stuff, analyzing data.
Not just like supercharging your workday, right?
Totally.
Mm.
But I bet there's a catch.
Well, there is.
What is it?
The researchers call this a jagged frontier.
Jagged frontier.
Okay. Because, AI is great at some things, but totally bombs at others.
Right. And how do you even know which is which?
That's the tricky part. They designed this really interesting business case for the study where you had to, really understand the nuances of all this data and interviews, and GPT-4 totally missed the mark.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the consultants who just blindly followed what the AI told them ended up with the totally wrong answer.
So you can't just plug everything into an AI and expect it to, magically solve everything?
Not quite. You still need to use your own judgment, your gut feeling.
Makes sense. It's a tool, right? Not a replacement.
Exactly. AI is a powerful tool, but it's not a replacement for human intelligence.
This makes me think about how people are actually using AI at work.
Mm-hmm.
The study found two main approaches, and get this, they call them Centaurs and Cyborgs.
Oh, I love those names. Tell me more.
Okay, so Centaurs are like strategic delegators. They'll use AI for certain things like generating ideas, refining text, summarizing information, stuff like that. Right. But they keep the big picture thinking, the decision-making, for themselves.
It's like they're augmenting their own skills, not replacing them. I think of it like a chess grandmaster using AI to analyze potential moves.
Oh, yeah, that's a good analogy.
But ultimately, the grandmaster still decides on the strategy.
Exactly. So what about cyborgs? Do they, have computer chips in their brains or something?
No, not quite. But they are really integrated with AI, constantly iterating, prompting the AI, questioning its output, refining it.
Whoa.
It's almost like AI is an extension of their own thought process.
So which approach is better, Centaur or Cyborg?
That's a million-dollar question. Honestly, the research doesn't have a definitive answer yet.
I see.
It seems like the best way to work with AI really depends on the task, the person, and how comfortable they are with using it.
It's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Like knowing when to trust the machine and when to trust your own instincts.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these amazing potential performance improvements with AI, right?
Yeah.
Like that 40% better work and 25% faster completion times.
Yeah.
But that's all based on comparing those who had access to GPT-4 with those who didn't.
Right. So it's like comparing the AI-powered group to the control group.
Okay, got it.
And what's interesting is those improvements weren't limited to just one specific type of task.
Really?
Yeah, they saw it across a whole bunch of different activities.
Yeah.
Like coming up with new product ideas, writing persuasive memos, all sorts of stuff.
Whoa, so it's like AI is this universal enhancer boosting creativity and efficiency all over the place.
That's the idea. And get this, the consultants who normally scored lower on these tasks actually saw the biggest improvement when they used AI.
So AI can actually help level the playing field. That's awesome.
It is. It could have huge implications for the future of work.
Like what?
Well, imagine a world where everyone has access to tools that help them perform at their best, regardless of their background or experience.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's almost like AI democratizes access to expertise.
But let's not forget about that jagged frontier we talked about before.
Right. As impressive as those performance boosts were, the study also found that AI can lead to some pretty significant mistakes.
Oh, no.
Especially when it's used for tasks that are, outside of its current capabilities.
That's not perfect.
Not at all. And those mistakes weren't just minor slip-ups. They were big enough to potentially lead people to the wrong conclusions, which could have serious consequences in the real world.
Yikes.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to approach AI with a healthy dose of skepticism. We need to understand its limitations and be prepared to challenge its output.
Just because AI says something doesn't mean it's automatically true.
Exactly. Think of it like using GPS navigation.
Okay.
It's a great tool, right?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't blindly follow it if it told you to drive off a cliff, would you?
Uh-huh.
You'd use your own judgment and common sense.
Right.
And it's the same with AI. It's powerful, but it's not infallible.
So how do we find that balance? How do we know when to trust the machine and when to trust our gut?
Well, I think a big part of it comes down to understanding the different ways that people interact with AI, like those centaurs and cyborgs we talked about.
Right.
They weren't just theoretical concepts. The researchers actually saw consultants using these approaches in real time.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think by understanding how these different approaches work, we can get a better sense of how to use AI effectively and responsibly in our own work.
So remind me, what were those centaurs all about?
They were all about being strategic in how they used AI.
Okay.
They didn't just blindly accept what the AI spit out. They carefully considered which tasks were actually best suited for AI and which ones needed human input.
So they were picky?
You could say that. They were really deliberate in their approach, almost like master strategists, figuring out how to deploy their forces, both human and AI, in the most effective way.
That's a good way to put it.
They knew when to use AI's strengths and when to rely on their own judgment and experience.
Give me an example. What would that actually look like?
Sure. Imagine a consultant who's working on a market analysis.
Okay.
They might use AI to gather and analyze all that data, identify trends and generate those initial insights.
That would definitely save a ton of time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But then they would take those insights and use their own judgment to interpret them.
So connect the dots.
Yeah. To draw meaningful conclusions. They might even use the AI to help them refine their analysis, generate reports, create presentations, things like that.
But the key is they're always in control.
Exactly. They're using AI as a tool to enhance their skills, not to replace them.
It's about augmentation, not automation.
Precisely. And I think that's a really important distinction to make, because when we talk about AI and the future of work, people often get scared about robots taking over their jobs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I think the study shows that it's not that simple. It's not about humans versus AI. It's about humans and AI working together.
To create something better than either one could do on their own?
Exactly. It's like a partnership.
I like that.
Where each side brings its own unique strengths to the table.
Okay, so now tell me about the cyborgs. They were all about seamless integration, right?
They were all about that blurring of the lines.
So how would that work in like a real-world situation?
Well, imagine a marketing team working on a new campaign.
Okay.
They might start by using an AI tool to generate some initial ideas, but then they'd work super closely with the AI.
How so?
Like constantly feeding it feedback, refining its output, pushing it to explore different creative directions.
It's like co-writing the campaign with the machine.
Exactly. And it worked. The cyborgs in the study actually came up with some really innovative ideas that wouldn't have been possible without that close collaboration.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is. They used AI to enhance their own creativity, not to replace it.
But it makes you wonder, what does it even mean to be human in a world where AI is becoming so integrated into everything we do?
That is the question, isn't it? And I don't have an easy answer for you.
It's a big one.
It is. But I do think it's something we all need to be thinking about.
For sure.
Because as AI gets more and more sophisticated, the lines between human and machine are only going to get blurrier.
So how do we even begin to navigate that?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
It is.
But before we go too deep down that rabbit hole, let's bring it back to some practical takeaways for our listeners.
Okay, good idea.
We've talked a lot about different ways people are working with AI, but what does that actually mean for someone who's trying to get ready for the future of work?
Right, that's the real question.
It is, because it's easy to get caught up in all the hype and fear around AI, but ultimately we need to figure out how to make this technology work for us, not against us.
So how do we do that?
Well, I think this study gives us some clues. It shows that AI isn't a magic bullet, it's a tool. And like any tool, it needs to be used thoughtfully and strategically.
Okay.
And there's no single right way to work with AI. The best approach depends on the person, the task, and the specific situation.
So what are some things that people can do to prepare for this future where AI is everywhere?
Well, one of the most important things is to build a strong foundation in critical thinking and problem-solving skills.
I can see why that would be important.
Because those skills are going to be even more essential in a world where AI is doing a lot of the routine work for us.
It's like, if you can think critically and solve problems effectively, you can adapt to any new technology that comes along.
Exactly. And you need to be adaptable, willing to learn new things.
Makes sense, because AI is changing so quickly.
It is.